Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live. I'm super excited that you're here. If you're enjoying this content and you know somebody who's struggling with dealing with difficult people at work, um, you know what? Tag them, like this, and then share it, and that will help get the word out. So today, I want to talk to you about an article that I wrote that is actually on LinkedIn as we speak. It went out this morning, and it rings close to home because I used to be this person. And I was this person because I was super excited on what it was I was contributing, and I was also learning at the same time. So I really kind of took this position of being the know-it-all. Um, Not because I wanted to be the know-it-all, it's because I thought what I was doing is actually helping people. Turned out that it didn't. It actually kind of created some hiccups in the team. And there were some other dynamics that kind of went along with that. So I have since tampered that down. I have figured that out about me. And I have readjusted my personal perception. Instead of being the know-it-all, is that when I have conversations with people, I'm helping in a different way. So that was me. So anyway, so I thought I'd read some of this and then just kind of like express, kind of narrate a little bit in the article. So the article is actually called Managing a Know-It-All on Your Team, Turning a Challenge into a Win. And if you've been following me for a while now, you know that I am all about helping people win. And to be honest with you, every leader has actually encountered that classic know-it-all on their team, but this person has the person often has a wealth of knowledge and a desire to share it. That was me. Okay. But they can also inadvertently disrupt team dynamics by dominating conversations, dismissing other ideas, or coming across as overly confident. So, of those three things, take out the middle one, and that's what I was. Okay. I was dominating conversations and I was coming across as overconfident. And one of the things that I heard myself, I like literally heard myself doing this. And what I did is I stopped dominating the conversation, right? If I had something that I wanted to contribute, I would put it. But then when I wanted to like improve my own personal development, instead of constantly raising my hand or constantly having something to say, I would actually take my conversations offline and request coaching. So I self-corrected. And I'm also very cognizant of the fact that there is usually one person in every room who tends to dominate the conversation. And I would much rather be a contributor in a powerful way rather than in a domineering way. Okay. So as I continue, the key to successfully managing a know-it-all lies in the balance, lies in balancing their contributions with the need for the harmonious collaborative work environment. And in this article that I wrote, I'm exploring strategies to help you leveraging these skills while minimizing the negative impact on team morale. So let me help you kind of spot what some of the traits are in know-it-all. Now, people will classify somebody as know-it-all, again, based off their worldview. And if you're catching this for the first time, let me help you understand worldview. Worldview is something that we all have. It's how we see the world based off of our experiences. And it starts when we were very young, it starts when we were having our engagements with our parents, our family members, our friends, how we responded in respects to authority, what we were taught about authority and authority figures. And then, the lessons that we've learned along the way, the observations that we've made in society. And it feels like, somebody feels like you get older, you can get more jaded. Yeah, that can happen too. So one of my favorite mentors says this. He says, when worldview is like looking at a lemon with a pair of blue glasses on. So when you look at the lemon through the lens of a blue glass, what color is the lemon? Well, some people will say it's green, when in fact the lemon is actually really yellow, right? So we just see what our version of what the lemon actually looks like through the lens of our worldview. Okay. So traits of a know-it-all that we see are excessive confidence, which means that they often believe that they have the right answer for most situations, which can overshadow other voices. All right. They also risk being very dismissive of other ideas, meaning that they are quick to shut down suggestions from colleagues, leading to frustration or disengagement amongst team members. If you've been following me, you know I wrote a book with a Navy SEAL, William Branham, and he and Rob O'Neill went to Buds together. They've known each other their entire SEAL careers. They actually went to sniper school together, and Rob was very gracious. Rob's legacy is actually, you know, the gentleman that laid the final shots on Osama bin Laden. And he was very gracious to write the foreword for our book. And so the two of them sat down, and I remember this conversation. It was really awesome in this podcast where they were talking about, like, they said, have you ever noticed that everybody else's plans other than yours are like crappy? Like, your plans are the perfect plans. And that is very true. That can happen. That happens with know-it-alls, right? All right. I just thought it was funny. And so what happens is that, you know, when people are shut down, it leads to frustration, it leads to disengagement amongst other team members. Okay. The desire for recognition, that can happen. With me, that's not what that was. I had things that I was working on internally, like problems and solutions that I was trying to come to resolution with in my own mind. And that's the reason why I was very vocal, right? However, if that's not what the person is doing, there's a chance that what's happening is that they're frequently seeking validation for their knowledge and can become frustrated when they don't receive it. Now, you can tell when this is really happening when you have that one person that's trying to show that they're smarter than everybody else, but it's kind of like the topic is like what they're saying, and the topic that's being discussed is just a little 15 degrees off. It's not in full alignment, right? That's how you know that that's a like I need validation type of move. When it's close, but it doesn't really align with what the current discussion is. And then dominating discussions, which means that they're often going to take over conversations, the limiting input from others, and actually slowing down team collaboration. All right, so what happens is that these traits start to create tension. Um, they're often rooted in this deep sense of wanting to contribute in a meaningful way. But it's really about what that person is, what's going on in their head, and not necessarily who's leading this discussion or who's leading the meeting or who's actually involved in the conversation as well, right? So really their goal is to harness their knowledge and while preventing any negative side effects as a result of behavior, right? So that's what we want to work on. So if know-it-alls are left unmanaged, and this is one of those things where you can switch off a know-it-all if your approach isn't done in a way that it will keep them engaged, right? You're going to switch them off. And then in your best attempts to resolve this or to kind of make a behavioral shift of some kind, it's one of those things where like that fear of making it worse actually kicks in. And if you've ever done this and you failed, you know exactly what that feeling is like. It's kind of like crap. Missed opportunity. All right. So what happens is as a consequence is that we're going to start, these individuals are going to start seeing that there's a reduction in team collaboration. People are not going to want to have conversations with them because they're afraid that they're going to be constantly told that they're wrong or dismissed or something like that, right? And what happens is that there's going to be a growing level of frustration and disagreement, and the people that work around them are going to eventually kind of starts breaking down morale. And what happens is that person starts getting pushed out of the group to a degree, right? Just a little bit, not fully. Like when you have got narcissists, then they get like people really don't want to deal with them, okay? Or people who have narcissistic tendencies, right? But what happens is that it just starts that separation process, okay? Or it puts a little bit of a wedge in. Also, it eliminates diverse thoughts from coming in, and diversity of thought is really important. Diversity of thought is innovation. Diversity of thought is how complex problems are solved, because somebody's going to see something a certain way different than what somebody else is. And aside from, we've got another dynamic that can happen, and that's where you've got multiple people coming at the same, trying to solve the same problem from different angles. Before we even get to that being an issue, which we're not going to cover on this, but what happens is that people who are fearful of being shut down by somebody who freaking knows everything. That's what goes on their mind. That's like the phrase. Of course, it's a bigger F word than what I just said, right? Um, what happens is that people just don't want to contribute after a while because that diversity of thought is not respected, or that diversity of thought is not recognized as valuable by this person. And like your employees need to know that they contribute, like their contributions are welcomed. Okay. Sometimes we can get a little too attached to our contributions. And again, that just comes with maturity and setting those boundaries. Like, hey, listen, ideas are welcomed. If we take the one that works the best, we're all going to figure that one out together. We're not all going to agree on it, but at some point in time, there is going to be one that comes up that will work the best or under the best circumstances that we're actually talking about. In addition to that, what also happens is that individuals will also begin to erode trust. Okay. Trust within the team will erode if individuals feel like their contributions are undervalued and ignored. All right. So to turn it around, and this is a little situational, so I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but I'm going to give you 3 nuggets that you can carry away today. All right. The first one is you want to acknowledge the experience, but you also need to set boundaries at the same time. Okay. It could be that, hey, listen, we need you to, what you say is really great, but I want to make sure that there's opportunity for everybody to speak. So I'm going to ask that you kind of keep your comments down to a minimum. Okay. That could be a possibility, right? Also encourage and challenge them to take on active listening. And you're going to have to educate them on what active listening is, because they may believe that they're a great listener, but like we don't always see the things that we do that are not all that great. I mean, there's stuff that I know that I do, I think I do well, but somebody else is going to see it as like, nope, you don't. And I work hard on myself, right? So but I know that even though the fact that I work on myself to improve myself, there's still things that I think I do well that somebody else doesn't believe I do as well as I could, right? Um, Redirect conversations. If it's starting to go down that path, right, that there's, some dominance that are starting to happen, redirect the conversation with open-ended questions. You can even start calling out individuals like, hey, listen, I would really like to hear your opinions. Like, thanks, if your name is John and John is the know-it-all, you're like, hey, John, thank you for that. I want to hear opinions from X, 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 and X. So here's the question I'm going to ask you. And I want you guys to answer this, right? John's already given his opinion. Thank you so much. Boom, right? And then leverage strengths in specific areas. Okay. If the know-it-all has a great strength in a certain area, maximize it. Give them projects in which they can be successful, right? Make them feel valued, because you're not pandering to the ego. You're actually speaking to the value that they actually bring to the table. Okay. And then if things get really, really challenging, you're going to have to provide some very compassionate, straightforward feedback, but you're going to want to do it privately. Right. Remember, when you have a know-it-all and you're going to sit down and have a conversation with this person and really kind of do a little heart to heart with them, you're going to have to do the old, hey, listen, you're really great at this. You're really great at this, but here's where I need you to work on. Okay. Remember, straightforward, being direct. Don't be nasty. Don't criticize. Don't accuse. Make sure you watch what you're saying and how you say it. But when you give straightforward feedback, is like there are times where you actually take over the conversation and it prevents us from being able to open up conversation and get ideas from everybody else, right? You're addressing the behavior, not the person. And if you start going down like the person and attitude, it's going to fall apart on you. But if you focus solely 100% on the behavior, you're going to do way better. So that's what I got for you today. I promised you yesterday I've got an offer for you. And I have a question for you. Have you ever found yourself totally drained, absolutely exhausted, or really just feeling like you're stuck because of some of these toxic behaviors that you have to deal with in the workplace, right? This may even be outside of the workplace. You may not be a leader. You could be an employee or a coworker or whatever. But you may have noticed that dealing with difficult people is affecting not only your job satisfaction, your life satisfaction, your day sometimes, but it also kind of impacts your well-being, right? Over time, these things, stress levels start to really grow up. And if you feel like your career is being held back, or you're tired of simply going through the motions, wishing that things were going to improve, then I have something for you. Like, what if you could change that? How would you feel to step into a space where you are confident in handling any difficult personality and no longer letting their behavior dictate your stress, dictate your mood, or dictate your personal growth or success, or even personal growth and success? Imagine walking in with a very clear plan. You feel empowered and know that you're finally in control of the situation. Well, I created a program that's called Fortitude, Mastering the Unmanageable, the things that we feel like we can't do. And it is a proven system that is designed to help you take back your power. All right. This isn't about quick fixes. It's actually about creating long-lasting change for yourself and your career by learning how to navigate and neutralize toxic behaviors in any environment, even if it's only for a few minutes for you to get done what you need to get done. Okay. So my question for you is this: what is the personal cost for you staying where you are? What is that cost? And if you're ready to make a real change and protect your emotional well-being, now is the time to start taking action, because success rewards speed. Success also leaves clues, and this is one big blueprint, one big template that will help you start putting skills in place so that way you can come into these really stressful situations and start tampering down that stress and start taking charge. Okay. I want to help you start building your resistance and claiming control, because you deserve a world, a career, a job, a life where you're not just surviving, but you're thriving. Everybody here on this planet should be thriving, and it's all going to be based on the skills. So if you're ready to take that next step, are you ready? Join the Fortitude program and transform the way you deal with difficult people. Now, how do you join? If you go to leadwithfortitude.com/program, plural, singular, program, lead with fortitude program /program. Oh my gosh, we'll do this again. leadwithfortitude.com /program. The link will be in the notes. Is an opportunity for you to go ahead and just try it out by taking the first episode and getting the first episode for only $37. Then you can decide if you want to continue on with the rest of the program. The first episode is solely 100% about addressing you and helping you come to resolution with a lot of this stuff that you're going through. So just give it a shot, see what you think. So if you go to leadwithfortitude.com /program, sign up today, and then you can get the first episode for $37. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you tomorrow in the next slide.